check this out. Hold on. Thumbs up, letting everybody come in tonight. The podcast show. Thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. Don't want to be on that long, So we're going to have another YouTube channel coming up with also the channel. We're going to also be talking about this week, the Passport Bros, and the update and giving more of you some stuff about the Passport Bros and what we've been seeing overseas and all that stuff. I get to these conversations a little bit late. That's because I'm always been a productive Black man, of course, as you know. Thumbs up, like, share, subscribe. If you basically been listening to the Lawyers and Podcast show, we got a lot of stuff coming up here, man. We got, like I said, the conversation with the Passport Bros. We're going to be talking about Paramount Pictures being to sell. Paramount is basically stuck on that old hillbilly white supremacist movies that they made back in the days. And of course, this is a new generation of Gen Zs, and they just don't like the typical Hollywood films that Paramount has been putting out there. And so now the company is struggling to find some, what's the name, Sharon or Sherry Redstone or whoever, however you say the woman's name. She's finding it very hard to sell Paramount for the amount of money she wants. So we'll be talking about how Paramount got there and why it's there. Because like I said, they keep on producing the same foolish and outrageous films. So we have a lot of lineup this week. We're going to be, like I said, we're going to be talking about the Passport Bros. But tonight we're talking about the soft guy era. And of course I won't be on that long. But so I won't be on that long tonight. But again, you're still listening to the Lawyers and Podcast show. I'm in my soft guy era. Welcome to the Lawyers and Podcast show. Thanks for listening to the podcast. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. ScrewTube got me on a permanent shallow ban. And it is permanent. They said I cannot get no access to the algorithm whatsoever. They said, nigga, you've been basically, for years, you've been talking of that black stuff, and we're just sick and tired of hearing it. Well, tonight, ScrewTube, I have basically a different type of approach tonight, because tonight we're talking about drizzle. So the sprinkle coming from this TikToker basically started the sprinkle movement for women who says that they're not going to be dating broke men anymore. You're not going to be taking me to just regular restaurants like Applebee's, and you're not going to take me to, restaurants that basically are not high end. And we're going to try to, we're going to basically unpack that. We're going to unpack how these women now are becoming more and more, expensive. Now they basically, we'll talk about it later here, but when a woman basically knows when she's wanting to date a man right off the bat, not going to, I mean, she may want to have a conversation with you at a restaurant or whatever. I mean, but she knows based upon what she's looking for or who she's willing to date, um, that she's interested. It doesn't take a huge, expensive restaurant to determine whether or not you're interested in a person. And so, of course, that's what the passport bro's been talking about, even though, I mean, women are women everywhere. White supremacy is global. So the women inside white supremacy is going to think the same. Doesn't matter what country you go to. So we'll be talking about that when we get into the passport bros things. But ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be talking about the soft guy era. And who is a soft guy era, or what is a soft guy era, I should ask. And why are men saying drizzle, drizzle? The viral TikTok movement and the meaning explained. Now, when these females came up with sprinkle, sprinkle, you have to understand that they'll go on YouTube, social media, they'll go on whatever that has a video outlet, and they'll start making these outrageous demands from men in order to score a date with them. Okay. And so, okay, I mean, it's okay for you to basically, go to a restaurant and say, hey, okay, let's see if we're interested with each other. And why do the restaurant has to, why do we have to spend $100 and $200 for us to basically find that out? You see what I'm saying? So it really didn't make sense for this woman to come on with sprinkle, sprinkle, but she did. So now entered a new different type of era that men are coming up with, and that is the soft guy era. Okay. I'm going to demand now from women because you all have been demanding things from men. Okay, you see how that works? Sort of a reversal there. But I guess the article here by Philip Hamilton is going to break it down so we can get into the conversation more in depth. And he wrote an article here from Know Your Memeing. And I like to basically start reading the article here. It asks the question, what is the soft guy era and why are men saying drizzle, drizzle? The viral TikTok movement and the meaning explained. There's a new movement going viral on TikTok, the article written here on, what's that, May the 15th of 2024. Okay. There's a new movement going viral on TikTok, and it's got men entering their soft guy era. The movement is a direct response to perceived sense of entitlement to dating that some women show online, particularly women who see themselves as the ultimate prize and refuse to date broke men who won't take care of them. So how did this movement get started? It is serious. And what does the term drizzle, drizzle have to do with it? Here's what you need to know, okay? What is the soft girl era? In 2023, a trend started going around on TikTok that saw some women announcing that they were entering their soft girl era. This era was loosely defined by some as a rejection of the girl boss lifestyle, denoted by a focus on stress and drama-free living and self-care, with an emphasis on homemaking and find a man that can provide for them. The era was supported by many women, but also criticized by some as a step backward to more patriarchal norms. Recently, TikTokers are Scarface Mark and Little, is it Good Die? Dang, y'all names on TikTok crazy. Scarface Mark and Little Good Die began posting videos parodying the ideal of the soft girl era and responding to what they see as an entitled women. entitled women in general who refuse to date men who can't pay their way in life. And their videos, which are largely comedic in nature, they claim they're in their soft guy era, meaning they decide to stop dating broke women and find women who can provide for and nurture them. This includes paying all the bills, bringing them to nice restaurants, and doing all the things that men stereotypically need to do for women they're dating. Mm. So, just what is drizzle? So so let's stop right there. Now, so yeah, for years we've been seeing in the 1990s when I won't go to the 60s or 70s and 80s, but let's start in the 90s. Let's get there for a minute. See, we entered into a era of also information age. Okay? We enter into the era of information age. And we also basically are changing the rules of the boomer generation, right? So dating, of course, for a boomer, of course, you basically a white dude, he would marry his high school sweetheart after school. They were later possibly go to college and get married. Okay. But typically for black men, we basically if you were fine in at that time in the 90s or when we graduated from high school, you typically find out that we do the opposite of white men, of course. We typically don't marry the women that are the girls that we met in high school or in college. Well, let's say high school. So the females that you were with in middle school or high school, well, let's say high school rather. But typically, as a black man, you don't basically marry the women in go on to marry the women in college like a white man would do to a white woman that he met in high school. Okay, so we got off the rails in dating now. So a lot of men are saying, okay, well, these women have these unrealistic expectations. They're basically out here talking about you got to take me to this expensive restaurant, and if you don't spend at least $200 on me, I can't date you. You don't make $150,000 per year, I'm not dating you. And so these women started this by basically raising the bar almost impossible. And I'll tell you who they got this stuff from here in a minute. But what does drizzle mean? In many soft guy era videos, the men like to throw the term drizzle into their rants. The term seemingly comes out of nowhere, but it's actually a parody of the term sprinkle, which went viral on TikTok in 2023. So what does sprinkle mean? Okay, like I said earlier, it's a group of women who decided that they're no longer going to date broke men. That if I'm making what they claim $150,000 or more, then they want a man to basically make more than that or meet their standards. Here's the problem when you look at the demographics of how much money people make really in terms. Most people who say that they make this amount of money don't really make it because depending on what you're doing, it fluctuates, right? So you don't really get your own income. Now, if you go on the course by the amount of money that basically that you get in a gross salary, okay, it could basically means that, okay, well, for instance, you're making $60,000 per year based upon before taxes. But after taxes, you're bringing home probably 45 or something thousand a year, bringing home. Okay. Just an example. So when a woman tell a 25-year-old man that he needs to be making $150,000 a year to date her, she's basically is delusional. because typically young men don't make that amount of money at a very young age, especially in their teens and 20s. Unless, of course, he's basically entered into the, to the hip hop world or the foot, or he's a sports player. Typically, we don't see average men making that. Okay. Now, here's the huge problem about this is that women basically, when they started to listen to the sprinkle female, mind you that most women who comes on these dating these online to claim that they're going to raise their standards of dating are mostly older women who say this. These are women who basically have not really dealt with dating in a way into which they want to. And so, like you all said, as other men turn them down, the men that they really want turn them down. They basically now has to go online and make these unusual demands because they just couldn't find the guys that they basically wanted, or the guys that they like basically did not want them. So what did Sprinkle Sprinkle accomplish? What Sprinkle Sprinkle accomplished is that they basically, the women begin to basically start making unrealistic demands, delusional demands that basically a lot of men cannot meet. Okay. And so, therefore, on these jobs that white men give them, specifically for black women, when they make these demands, is that let's get into it, right? So, where did this sprinkle sprinkle stuff come from? The origin of it, right? You got a group of black women, who basically is also on board with this, and they sit around with their white bosses. They there on with him for 40 hours a week. They're sitting there listening to these white women talking about, oh, my husband make $150,000 a year. I don't really have to work, but I do. And, he make $150,000 a year and I bring home such and such amount of money. And girl, we just basically I just raised the bar. That's all I said. I'm going to find me a husband that, makes a lot of money. Okay. And so these black women, they take this stuff in, and then they're working 40 hours a week, mostly likely with these white women who's making these demands. And then they come back and they try to basically say to black men, you got to meet the same standard. Okay. Foolish, As you know, of course, well, black women should know that your men are in bondage. They don't have the same economic system that the white man has. The white man is on top of all of us. Okay. So you making these demands, to talking about a black man making $25 at the age of 25 is foolish. Like I said, unless he's been drafted in the NFL or whatever. But the foolishness of these dating requirements just got delusional. And of course, I would say, well, this is the reason why, men are going overseas, the passport bros. I would say all that stuff, but that's foolish too, because that's what I said earlier. It doesn't matter where you go. These women are going to have the same expectation. You got black women in Ghana telling Ghanaian men the same thing. Okay. So westernized culture is global. But here's the problem with certain types of demands that these women make. They're finding out that as the rent rises and as the home value rises, that, you may have to probably rethink sprinkle, sprinkle. Okay. I basically was on a line as I was coming on, and there was this woman who basically was giving black women advice. And I'll get to all women here in a minute about the sprinkle, sprinkle, because it's just not black women. But she was giving black women advice about dating. right? And in the article that she had written, I mean, I'm sorry, the video she was writing, I mean, that she was, talking, she also had an interview with another Black woman, and they were talking about trying to date. That it's hard for a Black woman to date and blah, 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 this, okay? And one of the things that she basically said was, well, you got to raise your standards and you cannot just basically be out here dating anybody who is broke and stuff like that. Okay, there's no problem with that. No problem with, making that demand. But then later on, in the conversation, okay, in her videos, you know, she basically went for it. She finally revealed when the host asked her, well, do you want to have children? And this Black woman said no. Okay. Now, this is one of the worst advice that a woman can get from another woman, to tell females or to tell women not to have children. Now, this is not the type of woman you want as Black women to not only represent you, but this is not the type of women that you want giving you advice. Because, of course, like I said, something, and then she started to basically use the, of course, she was using, if a nigga do this and a nigga do that, you don't need that nigga. And you're like, whoa, okay, you're doing an interview. You would basically hope and think that she would basically speak without saying the N word. So it can tell that this is a pretty Black chick who have been dating a lot of thug guys, right? She's been around a lot of guys who basically, probably went and robbed a convenience store. Okay. So, but she's basically out here now with a podcast giving Black women advice. Okay. And we told Black women the problem of dating. You understand? We told them what we wanted. And what did they do? They ignored us. Okay. Okay. They sit around for 40 hours and they on the white man's jobs, as I told you, and they basically don't get it. Okay. A Black man do not want for you to work for another man for 40 hours a day and then come home and refuse to make him a bologna sandwich when you get home and you are her husband. You understand? And that only takes 5 seconds to make a bologna sandwich, right? Okay. Now here's the problem with the soft guy era and the soft girl era, is that Black people in culture, and we're going to get to all other races here in a minute, but specifically Black people, you can't make demands on each other because both of y'all are not making enough money as it is, specifically in this inflation. And so they're talking about, man, that if Joe Biden get back in office, that a lot of people will be losing their jobs in major companies. So by a lot of people going broke, you can't basically tell men and tell women to meet these expectations that you not only may not have, but the economy is not going to allow it. A soft guy era basically, have been around. It's just simply Black men or any man saying that, hey, I want you to spend money at dinner sometime, or if we go out, maybe you can, get to pick up the tab or the tip or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Now, a lot of people are going to disagree with I say this, but if we're going out to a first date, I often think that you should go to a coffee shop, right? Or somewhere where men have to spend less money. And I have no problem with 50-50 on the first date. Now, let me tell you why. Because a lot of women, they just basically date just to get free meals. And men have learned this over time. You're not interested in me, but you want me to take you to this high-end restaurant, and then I'm not going to get a call back from you because you already know that you're not interested. Okay. And that's when I first came down to Atlanta. That what happened to me. I went on all of these dates, and the females were like, they knew that they were not interested. Okay, and we went here to this restaurant and that restaurant, and you're already telling me you know that you're not interested, but you want the free meal. So men are saying, no, we're not going to do that no more. In fact, until you commit that we're in a relationship, then you spend your money, I spend my money. Okay? And that's just the bottom line. So while I agree that a relationship is 80-20, because typically the men is going to do all the work. Okay? Because the women are going to sit around and they're going to basically complain about raising the children. Okay? Which is what they're supposed to do, nurture the kids. But if a man is in a relationship, 80% of the time, he's going to do more of the work. Because what's going to happen is let's say if a wife, if her car breaks down, instead of calling AAA, she's going to first call her husband, typically. Okay? Hey, bring me the other car, man. I just broke down on the highway or whatever. And so basically, this is the most important thing about the soft guy era. Because women are even saying that they don't even want men. They're even telling men, oh, we don't want you, we don't need you, and all that stuff. I was driving the other day, and two females basically was on the highway, and I was driving, and I went back and I said, hey, do y'all need help or whatever? Oh, well, I'm waiting on my father. He's supposed to basically come and help us, you know what I'm saying? I said, wait a minute. You basically need a man to come and help you? And she started laughing. Yeah. My dad, he's not answering Dell, so I might have to call AAA. So wait. Let me get this straight. You all said you don't need men, but you're calling a company that hires a man? Let's make it make sense. Well, I'm not the one that said I don't need a man. No, that's what y'all be saying on YouTube. So let me get this straight. So you're not going to call a woman to basically help you with your car, right? No, it's going to be my dad or AAA, and I'm pretty sure they're going to bring a man. Right, my point exactly. So by going on ScrewTube or all these other platforms and saying, I don't need no man, it's dumb, okay? Because eventually you're going to need a man. You're going to need a man for a lot of stuff as a woman, okay? Don't get it twisted. You know what I'm saying? Well, oh yeah, let me call such and such my uncle in this. Wait a minute, you're calling a man? I thought y'all don't need us, And so you got to basically make sure that they wake up out of that delusional thing. You even got white women out here complaining now because white men are not marrying them. The Gen Z white men or the white millennial white men are not marrying them, as their baby boomer fathers have basically did in the past. I just mentioned to you that when white boys get out of high school, they go and marry that white girl. That's not happening in a dating market no more. Not really. And so now you see women in general becoming in crisis, because if men are basically looking at marriage and saying that marriage is a death warrant to them because the woman is going to wake up after 5 or 10 years, and say, I don't need you. That basically means that women will be scared about the future of marriage now. Okay. Okay. And so that's why black men, we was like, man, we don't agree with this. She's going to be basically, she's going to marry me. And then after 5 years, you know what I'm saying? Now, white women basically, all due respect, white women will last, they'll stay in a marriage to about 15, 20 years. Now, you probably need 5 or 10 years, depending on what state you get, you end the marriage, then you can get alimony after that. So white women will stay a little longer. And black women don't really stay a little longer. After 5 years, they already going down to the white man's courthouse talking about, I know damn good. You're like, wait a minute, 5 years of marriage. You don't have enough time in 5 years to say whether or not through sickness, through health, to death do you apart, that we really didn't even have a really enough a bad experience after 5 years to determine and dictate that. You see what I'm saying? So men are saying, okay, I'm in my soft guy era. If you want a relationship with me, you're going to have to basically provide more. You're going to have to bring me back, food. You're going to have to cook for me. And if you order that pizza, you got to make sure I get pizza as well. So they're reversing the roles. They're using the parity of these foolishness that these women have been saying for years, since the 90s when they came up with all this stuff. They're turning the tables around on women. And women online are going crazy because they're basically saying, oh, these men, they're acting like girls. This needs to stop. Y'all need to marry us. Y'all need to come into the gym and y'all need to make sure that you approach us. Stop not wanting to approach us. But then you already told us months and years earlier you didn't want us to approach us. So you have to make up your mind here. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation on the Lawyers and Podcast Show. When I basically wait, no, when you come back home, you need to bring me back chicken wings and all that. Don't be eating in my face. And I need a $600,000 car. $600,000. Oh, no. No, I'm in my soft guy era. No. Welcome back to the Lawyers and Podcast Show, Drizzle's Drizzle. Today we're talking about the soft guy era and why men are using women's foolishness to sprinkle ideology on them. I'm your host, Lawyers. Now, the term drizzle is very important for women to understand. You got all of these women on YouTube saying, oh, these guys, you need to stop that. Most of you who are claiming that you're doing this drizzle and saying this drizzle crap, you are just broke men. That's all you are. You're broke men. That's the reason why you're saying drizzle. You don't want to do nothing for a woman. You're broke man. You're broke. And these women are online, they're going nuts because we're in our soft guy era. So the drizzle campaign continues, okay? Demanding what women are also demanding, okay? And so the soft guy era is basically saying nurture a man, right? Drizzle. So the woman who started the sprinkle thing, she basically told women online that if a man is not making a certain amount of money, if he's not doing certain types of things, if he's not taking care and providing for you, and he basically, for instance, she basically tell women that you'll know when you have a high valued man because he's able to do this. He's basically going to go and he basically going to simp on you, was basically what she was saying, right? And so now you have the drizzle era, and they basically want this in return for women. I believe that the concept is going to continue. Now, a lot of women, and as I told you in the other arenas, that there's a rise of polygamy. And this word polygamy, a lot of people are trying to use it as if it's a bad word. You know, black men have always been in a polygamous relationship. That's the reason why our relationship between married couples don't really work, because black men were not built to be with just one woman. They were built to be with multiple women, because that's how we were before the Europeans came on the scene. But anyway, I digress. Tonight on the Lawyers, well, today on the Lawyers and Podcast show, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about our soft guy era. Women are online, they're going crazy on TikTok, and they're demanding that men stop this drizzle. And one of them are going out and say, I'm going to be alone for the rest of my life. This is what this white chick said. I told you, these white men are not dating and marrying, these women. They're women as well like this, Indian men and Asian men are saying the same thing. And basically, these women are furious that you all are not approaching them as much. Okay? And then they said that when you do talk to them and then they're dating you, you somehow mix the signal that she wants you to lean in and kiss her. Guys, how did we keep on missing the signs that a woman, instead of telling us to kiss her, then basically she wants to give you a hint? How do you know that, men? Drizzle. I think I'm in my soft guy era when I say, no, you lean in and kiss me. Drizzle. It goes on to say here in this article, though, as I read earlier, that the movement is a direct response to a perceived sense of entitlement in regards to dating that some women show online, particularly women who see themselves as the ultimate prize and refuse to date broke men who won't take care of them. So women basically are saying that it depends on a type of job in what you do. And that is basically, it's going for her to determine who she's going to date. The problem with that entitlement is that the high value men that they want basically give them the access to date a variety of women. And so this perceived sense of entitlement in dating for these women online basically is narrowing itself, because relationships and dating and marriage have become universal. Not in other words, men in America could find a woman if he goes overseas to marry. As now, we'll be talking there about the passport bros this week again. So the women claiming that they are the prize, typically women are not the prize, the men are, because it is going to be the men who's going to bring the resources. Okay, if women was the prize, then it wouldn't be women who is showing up at these NFL drafts and basketball draft trying to find herself a husband, one of these basketball players who they can have to impregnate her so that she can basically get a meal ticket. And this is the reason why men are walking away from marriage as well. So these women on TikTok are giving advice, but at the same time of these certain women who's giving advice, there are these chicks online who is going off because we as men are in our soft guy era. Meaning that you're going to ask women what they bring to the table, and as soon as you ask them that, they're not going to give you a good response. They're going to say, well, I bring to the table loyalty. I bring my good looks. And sometimes they can say, well, I'm young, depending on their age, because after they get 28 or 29, they're leaning towards the 30 and 40 beyond. And of course, women value, as Kevin Samuels taught us, goes down once they get older. Okay. Now, Kevin Samuels said something interesting. Rest in peace to Kevin Samuels. But he says that the women value when it goes down when they older. Women value goes down when they have children. And there, he had basically a lot of these women coming on his podcast talking about. He asked them to rate themselves first, but you can't use 7, right? And so when these women value themselves, some of them will get on there talking about I'm an 8, and they'd be like 40 years old. Now they might look good in the face at the age of 40, but as an older woman, your value goes down as you get older. Men's value goes up as we get older. Okay, so a woman in her prime basically has value in her prime. But as she get older, she no longer has value. In other words, even if she had a good job, because, of course, as Kevin Samuels taught us, we don't have access to women money. Okay, they have access to our money. Okay, so basically, they're able to provide certain things as well. Okay, so while we're in our soft guy era, yeah, she's going to have to provide, they said. These men are saying. She's going to have to bring more. She's going to have to pay sometime for the meal or go into a restaurant. And that's what they said. These guys said in their soft guy era here. But see, as the number of women who's basically are getting into their in the 30s, what Kevin taught us is that these are going to be women basically who either going to have to share a man, or they're going to be what is called leftover women, okay, who is going to die alone. Get your cat or a dog, and you're going to die alone, is what Kevin Samuels taught us. And that's the reason why there's a rise of polygamy. Now, the polygamous argument is that a lot of women say, well, I'm not going to share my husband, okay? And a lot of women who are married know their husband has been shared by other women. They just don't know it. And vice versa for the husband. So somebody have had your wife before you, and may at the same time had your wife at the time you was married to her. So in our soft guy era, we just want women to do a little bit more. We just want women to basically bring something to the table. And that's not basically saying much, because the women are making their own money now. Okay? But you will find that if a woman is making a lot of money, that's a turnoff to men, because you're not going to be able to persuade her to do certain things. You're not going to mold her into submission, because she's used of basically doing what? She's used to providing herself with things. And a woman basically like that, it's going to be hard to get her to submit. And so therefore, we put them into the leftovers, and now you can see them on YouTube, and they're going crazy. Okay, because they basically are getting old, and some of them are saying, I want a husband. And then they're basically harassing men as they go to Home Depot and Lowe's, talking about they're going to this aisle and that aisle, and try to pretend like they're looking for, wood or something for the bathroom, or some type of nails, and trying to pretend like they're confused about something so they can get a man's attention. That's not going to work. Most men that goes to these hardware stores are very focused on their project. So if they just bought a new home, for instance, they're going to have to go and get the measurements of certain types of wood that they need to do for their homes. Replace that bathroom, the tiles on the floor, okay, the type of paint, making sure that all the paint is the same. Okay, and then here you come talking about, I need a man, I need a husband, blah, blah, blah. No, you should have thought about that in your prime. Okay, and this is the reason why the drizzle is going to win. And there are going to be a lot of leftover women. And I keep on trying to tell these women when we out, they ask me about relationships, of course. And it be the most attractive women asking the question, why is the attractive women a lot of time always single? Because the attractive women, of course, they know what a man is capable of. Okay. And I try to tell attractive women, don't go out looking too attractive because a man is going to think he doesn't have a chance with you. You see, I said that in other arenas. But a lot of certain attractive women, of course, are crazy as hell. You know that. Like this female that I just mentioned on YouTube. This is an attractive woman. She have experience with Pookie and Ray Rays, right? And now she basically don't want to have children. She don't want a man anymore. She's given up on love. She's almost torched 30 years old, of course. And now you're going to see them come for the hatred. And this is how the black females turn to as they get old and to being feminists, right? That they turn into feminists. And then, of course, the masculine energy come out and it turns men off. And then you got women out here thinking they're hard. They're saying, bruh, talking crazy like that. I'm telling you, you got to understand that America set up a huge problem where these women are basically are becoming masculine and the men are becoming feminine. And then the issue now is that there's more rules to the game now. Okay. It's nothing wrong for if you're in a relationship though, that if a woman is coming back from the store, even though you didn't ask her to bring you back a slice of pizza or some wings and stuff, she should know to bring that back for her husband. Drizzle, drizzle. She should know that because it's just a thought that counts. Okay. And this basically is going to really destroy and challenge dating. As we see, marriages are no longer happening in America anymore. And of course, by the year 2055, will be less than 35% of marriages only in the United States. The rest of them would be polygamous relationships, or gay or lesbian relationships, or what they call situationships. That's it. Okay. Unless the marriage laws change that a man can marry in as many women as he want to, like they do in the Eastern countries, marriage is done. The bridal shops are closing. And the people who are selling jewelry, they basically are giving you 75% off for that bridal ring. Because they recognize that marriage is a business. And that now these women basically are saying that because of the high price of rent and gas, and mortgages and cars and stuff like that, they're going to need that man. And so they're online pouting and they're online lying, talking about they make $150,000 a year. And they expect that a man to make it. And men are saying now, prove it. Drizzle, drizzle. So the soft guy era is basically a wake-up call for women. See, the people who basically have the issues of having problems as far as relationships always want to go online and denounce men. The females who basically was upset that they could not get the men that they want are the ones who are online right now on TikTok and ScrewTube. They're the ones who basically have the issues of relationships. I walk out here all the time and I see men and women in relationships. So what is it about the people who are going online talking about they can't find men or can't find a good woman? What is it about those people they should be asking themselves that basically keep them single? And this is what I was telling you about that that female who basically she went off on Anton. Anton is a YouTuber. And she was calling Anton dusty and talking about he's overweight. And she didn't really know the man. He was just using her video as a way to give an example about certain women who basically, like I said, might be very attractive, but not only is they delusional, but they just dumb as hell in the head. And of course, the more attractive she is, the more dangerous she's going to be. You know why? Because the pretty woman is going to continue to try to operate her pretty privilege. She's finding out now that the pretty privilege may not really work for her in the future. The Gen Zs is changing the way that we do relationships now. The Gen Zs are something else, right? They basically don't want to work for a year just to get a week off from a job. The Gen Z said, we're taking a damn vacation when we get damn ready. The Gen Zs are, like I said, is changing the way that relationships happen, and they're not running to the altar and getting married to women as much. I mean, as quick as the baby boomer generation had in the past. And this is what is getting women very much terrified, horrified. These women are going crazy because now men had learned their game. And they have used marriage instead of fighting white supremacy. They have used marriage as a way to destroy men, and then to take all the money while they can basically go and live in their homes and other parts of the like an upscale neighborhood, while they put the men on child support. They're now able to get money not only from the men when they divorce these men out, they're also able to get their own jobs. So they have a collection of money coming in. And then for women who didn't have the men, the government that's helping them. Remember back in the days when if you had a man in the household, the government wouldn't give you no money. And so you see women basically kicking men out just because they can want the crumbs of the government. And so now there is a different standard. A lot of women don't understand that we're entering in a different world. They think we're still entering into the same world back in 1990s. You see how these women are acting out here? They think that America is going to continue to operate the same way. It's not. It's basically changing. It is really changing. Gen Zs, like I said, basically is changing the way we marry or we get into relationships now. And so these women are not on board. They're just basically out here crying. And basically they don't understand that marriage is a business. It's a piece of paper that allows women to use so they can get money that they did not work for. It's different than if you basically help me create and start a business. Okay, yes, you should take half. But if you didn't, just because the papers say I'm married to you, in a divorce now, you take most of everything that I got. The hell you do? No. There was some YouTube videos that men had left the altar because a woman refused to basically sign a prenuptial agreement, which I agree with. You sign that prenuptial agreement, she doesn't love you. Basically, you know how, that's basically how you determine if a woman loves you. If she is not willing to sign a prenuptial agreement, then that she's in it for the money, right? Because if you're staying with a man who makes a lot of money, then of course he's going to 9 times out of 10 give you some of the money in the marriage. So when a woman walks away for refusing to sign a prenuptial agreement, you can tell that her strategy is to only be with you for about 5 or 10 years and then divorce you. And white women have been doing this for a very long time, a long time to that white man. That's the reason why he's on all these shows killing them. That's why we got shows like Forensic Files and 48 Hours, because that white man is like, damn, she only used me for my money. I gotta kill this bitch. And then he goes around and kill her, and then here come the cops, and he did, and he's trying to pretend like it was something else. Some intruder came in. Actually, he killed him. You know what I'm saying? So we brag about these white men being the one who marry all over the place. No, 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 no. White men marry white women more over than black men marry black women. The problem, though, is that they basically have multiple marriages, though. And that's the reason why white people will be like, you know, well, we 60% of marriages, and you black, you niggers, y'all only 30%. No, 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 no. Y'all just marry each other more over. And y'all are the majority, of course, in the country. So that would get you 60%. But if you were where black people is, you'll still be at 30% at that point. You see? You see how that works now? So we're entering in our soft guy era. Drizzle, drizzle. You've been listening to the Lawyers and Podcast Show. Like, share, leave your comments. We're going to be talking this week about the Passport Bros, and we're also going to be talking about the fall of Paramount. You've been listening to the Lawyers and Podcast Show.